Hi, everybody. So it is November the 24th. We're almost toward the end of November. Unfortunately, I have been very busy this month. I've got a court case pending with my stupid landlord. Wish me luck on that one. Keep your fingers crossed for me. It's gonna be one of those things. Either they find in my favor or they dismiss the whole thing. I mean, there's not. It's just 50-50 up in the air. But we'll see what happens. So November, it is Thanksgiving week in the States. Now in Canada, we have our Thanksgiving in October, and it is also November is Native American month. And so I decided to try and read some work by Native American authors, and the first one that I want to talk about is Goingback. I was just going to say about Thanksgiving, it seems rather poorly timed that the American Thanksgiving is also in the same month as Native American month, but maybe they'll do away with calling it Thanksgiving. For the last couple of years, I've started calling it Stave Off Scurvy Day, which sounds really weird, but I read that in the 1600s, priests used to have a harvest time feast that helped people, not die of scurvy. So, yay for Stave Off Scurvy Day. So, happy Stave Off Scurvy Day to all my American friends and to everybody listening, and we'll hopefully do away with the historically inaccurate and not particularly good story of the first Thanksgiving, because of course it didn't happen like that, right? So I don't want to comment too much about Indigenous relations. I mean, we all know colonialism was a terrible thing. We know that reconciliation is going to be a hard thing. But today we're just going to talk about a creature book called Crota by Owl Goingback. Now, Mr. Goingback is an American author. He writes horror, but he also writes nonfiction and children's books and does some ghost writing. He started writing full-time in 1987. He's also been an Air Force mechanic and a restaurant owner. So he's got quite an interesting history. And Crota was published in 1996. It won the Best First Novel Stoker Award. And it's basically, I mean, if you can imagine almost a Jaws type story with a big scary monster that was buried underground and, came back up looking for revenge and eating people, that's pretty much what you got. So it starts out, this kid's motorcycle breaks down and he goes to, walk home, ends up in a graveyard and this thing's chasing him. And somebody pulls over to try to maybe, give him a ride or pick him up or whatever. And this thing kills both of them. And it's bloody and violent, and, the cops can't figure out what happened. And we're introduced to Skip Harding, who's the sheriff. And then there's an undersheriff by the name of Lloyd, and he's got political aspirations. So he's a bit of a social climber. And then the next chapter, we're introduced to a character by the name of Jay Littlehawk, who's he's the game warden, and he finds some slaughtered deer, and he's thinking this is kind of weird. And he's the grandson of a shaman, and so he goes up to this mountain area called Devil's Boot, finds out that cave that had been previously sealed off is now open, and he starts to think, okay, this is some bad news going on here. And then we go to the Crota, and it kills some people and some animals, and we got some really good gory scenes. If you like gore, this book has quite a bit. Little Hawk does a sweat lodge. He sees the ancestor spirits. And then Skip, I can't read my own handwriting. So Skip goes out to investigate another attack, and the Crota almost gets him. But he pulls out his lighter, and for some reason the thing's scared off. Which does seem a little bit, Deus Ex Machina, but what are you going to do, right? This is a guy who's got to live, so. So he goes into the hospital, and while he's unconscious, he has some strange dreams and some hallucinations. And while he's in the hospital, Lloyd is there, and Jay Littlehawk comes to see Skip, And Lloyd's like, well, I'll have to give him a message. So Jay Littlehawk tells him the story about, the Crota and how the native warriors went and sealed him in there and sacrificed their lives so that this thing wouldn't come back. But he thinks that there was an earthquake that unearthed this thing, and now they got to do something about it because it's killing people. But of course, Lloyd is an ass and doesn't believe him. So he just tells people it's a bear, and he leads an investigation underground, and of course, everybody dies, right? I mean, this guy's an absolute idiot. And he does try to make it political. He thinks that if he can capture the bear that's been killing people, it'll look good when he wants to go and, run for Skip's job. So then Little Hawk finally gets to see Skip, and he tells him what's been going on, and that they have to get rid of this thing. And then there's some back and forth, and basically it does sort of fall apart. Like, the narrative isn't quite as tight in the middle as it is in the first section and the last section. But the long and short of it is Little Hawk goes to the reservation. He has another sweat lodge with some of the guys there, and he brings back this guy named George Strong Eagle, who helps them with the ritual. And when Skip goes to see Little Hawk, after everybody dies under the mountain, they're basically waiting for him. He's the person they've been waiting for. So they have another kind of sweat lodge. They see, he's got to go do this, and he lets them know that his grandmother was native, and she gave him this, and he's been seeing her, and she's been trying to contact him. So they're like, well, try to go figure out what she's trying to give you. So he finds this false back in one of the rooms in the attic, and he digs it out, and there's a skin there that's wrapped up some arrowheads. So. Or some arrows, and they're like, yeah, this is what you need to kill this thing. So then they go on an expedition, and of course there's a happy ending. Sort of, they kill the Crota, and there's a nice big battle, and there's the other thing I forgot to mention, when Lloyd and the guys go underground, there's this huge underground city, like houses, and what I couldn't quite get was, is this something that people built, or was this literally just something that the Crota, which is portrayed as intelligent, was this just something that it built to amuse itself? That's never really clear to me. And I'm going to give it 4 out of 5. It's enjoyable. There's some good gore. It's a great creature, guys hunting the creature kind of book. Like I said, it's like Jaws. If Jaws was a big creature underground instead of in the water, you've pretty much got some similarities. I took off a star because there's some places that were obviously quite predictable. You kind of knew what was going to happen as soon as Lloyd was like, I'm not going to tell anybody. Yeah, everybody's going to die. And then it's like Lloyd goes charging off, but we don't actually see him die, so we know he's going to come back, right? Spoilers. And he's like, oh, I gotta make up for, atone for all of those things. So it does kind of follow patterns. If you're a horror fan, if you're a fan of certain kinds of narratives, you're gonna know what happens. And the other thing that I found a little bit frustrating was that, and again, this is a first novel, there's a way of sort of over-describing things that I didn't really, that's just a style thing that I just kind of found a little bit annoying. But overall, it's well-paced. I really, really like the Jay Littlehawk character. I found myself wanting to know what happened next. Did he go back to, when he went to the reservation, did he go on other adventures? Did he kill other monsters? It would be awesome. And so I thought that was a great character, and I really enjoyed the kind of ritual descriptions, because we see stuff written by white folks and it just seems wrong somehow. But when you have somebody that's actually been there, done that, it's not playing to stereotypes. It just it describes the kind of thing that is really important to, if you're dealing with paranormal and supernatural beings, the best way to do it is through spiritual energy and learning how to battle that, right? So that's the kind of cool stuff that, just those neat little narrative devices. So 4 out of 5 stars, Crota by Owl Goingback, and Native American Month. Happy Stave Off Scurvy Day to my American friends, and I hope you're reading lots of great horror. Have a great day.